happens with the CryptoPunk versus Bored Ape floor price. All right, then in other news, we saw that OpenSea came out a few days ago and said that OpenSea royalties will continue to be enforced. So they always were enforcing them, but then they came out with a tweet saying, are they going to, should they continue enforcing them, we'll take people's comments. And then after about 2 or 3 weeks of quite a lot of backlash from projects and artists, we saw Ferocious wrote a letter to OpenSea saying that he was able to escape terrible personal situations, and living environment and abuse because of royalties on NFTs, and that it would really be a terrible shame for OpenSea to go this route. We then saw projects like Deadfellas, Betty writing an open letter to OpenSea. We saw Adam Bomb Squad writing another decent NFT collection linked to a Web2 fashion brand, also delaying their launch, saying they will not launch on OpenSea until they know whether their royalties are protected or not. And then we saw OpenSea come out and say, okay, they've heard everyone, and they are going to continue to enforce NFT royalties. Now, I'm actually really happy about this. Anyone who watches me knows that I'm for royalties as long as they are within reason, percentage-wise, and are used properly. Obviously, when a project rugs and people fight and sitting at a 5 ETH floor and everyone sells, and it goes down to a 0 ETH floor, it's horrible that the project is making money on those sales in those last days when it's dying. Obviously for nefarious projects, you'd rather there weren't royalties. But you've got to know that a lot of builders and a lot of artists and a lot of good people come into the space because of the lure of the royalties, and that's what keeps them there, and that's what keeps them going to work every day, working on the project. What's interesting here to me is that OpenSea never discussed their royalty of 2.5%, right? So all they were talking about really was, should they enforce the collection royalties that are set by the collection, and I do think that it was an opportunity for them to definitely relook at their percentage that they charge. And the reason I say that is because they're just not competitive with our other marketplaces anymore. You've got LooksRare charging 0.5. You've got most of the other ones, Blur now charging 0%. I just think selfishly, they need to become more competitive, and 2.5% is not going to cut it on their side. But that wasn't discussed whatsoever. All they said is that they are awed by the passion that we've seen from the creators and collectors alike this week. We're looking for your feedback, and we heard it loud and clear. And they're going to be continuing to keep their royalty there. What is interesting, and what we saw today, is that X2Y2 came out with the same today. So this is really interesting. 18th of November. So what's that? 5 hours ago. We've got X2Y2, who notoriously was one of the first to say that they're not enforcing royalties, has now done a complete U-turn and said going forward they will enforce royalties on all collections. So that's what it says here. X2Y2 will enforce royalties on all collections. We used to believe the best way to handle royalties is to give both parties, creators and traders, the right to choose. It's the rationale behind our flexible royalty feature, and we believe so. Putting belief aside, if there was anything self-evident in crypto, it's the code. Since OpenSea released the open filter 2 weeks ago, and I'll take you through what the open filter is now, that's something different, most of the new projects have sided with it. Code is law, and we respect the law. An hour ago, we removed the flexible royalty setting from all new listings of NFTs with open filter. It's an easy decision. But what about the existing ones? For a more unified and smoother user experience, we have enforced royalties for them too. Another easy decision. We may have a different view on the best way of handling royalties with OpenSea, yet we respect the code. With OpenSea risking its market share and taking a brave move to defend royalties, they have our respect. Too many tools and features need to be built for the NFT space, and there's no time better than a bear market to think deeper and build harder. Stay tuned for more coming from us soon. Last but not least, to our friends, partners, and rivals, let's pour our time into building rather than racing on royalties. See you on the other side of the bear. So wow, so that's our X2 Y2 now, complete U-turn. Generally, it's been received well. OpenSea says prayer to stand with you, and so on and so forth. So yeah, really, really cool. Nice to see. And I, as I said, personally, I'm quite happy about this. Then what they were talking about there is that OpenSea has launched a tool that allows projects who are launching with OpenSea to hard code in the contract whether their NFT can be sold without royalties on other marketplaces in the future. So effectively, if let's just say John wanted to launch an NFT collection, he goes to OpenSea and he can specifically code into that, which we always knew could be done, but OpenSea facilitates this, can specifically code into the contract. This can never be sold without a 5% royalty, basically meaning that it cannot be listed on Blur or any other marketplace that doesn't respect creator royalties. It won't be able to be listed there, and it won't be able to be sold there. So it basically limits NFT sales to marketplaces that charge creative fees. And that's what X2Y2 was saying when they said, we've seen that a lot of projects have launched, a lot of the projects that have launched on OpenSea have chosen to use this tool. Now, I think one point that needs to be brought up here is that obviously it is very possible that those particular projects chose OpenSea specifically because they're the only place currently that allows them to put in the smart contract that it cannot be tradable on other exchanges. So yes, maybe let's just say 80% of projects in the last 2 weeks since OpenSea launched this have all opted for this, but maybe only a quarter of those projects would have launched through OpenSea if it weren't for this ability, if you know what I mean. So just one thing to keep in mind. So what's going to be quite interesting is to see what's going to happen going forward. The next couple of months, do we see a lot of projects still launching on OpenSea with this feature? Do we see some of them going to X2Y2, and so on and so forth? Oh my God, CADE, I'm going to kill